the invited guests, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege for me to come back to OKSA since 2012. Interestingly, this is my first major event outside of Sierra Leone since I became a member of parliament, since after the election. So it's a wonderful coincidence that it is a Kambia event. I feel very honored to be with you. Indeed, tomorrow I'll do the longer version of the speech. But I have chosen a topic of responsible leadership, and indeed this evening I saw the display of responsible leadership. I see what you are doing for your school, for your community. But I was very impressed when the chairman of OKSA, Baraka, started off making a plea for other people to succeed him. Sometimes people are in leadership, they don't want to leave. Whether it's Mugabe or some other people, they ask for more time. If you don't give them more time, they will create more time. They like the prestige, the honor, and everything. Some of them, in fact, those who work less want to stay there longer. So Baraka, indeed, good sign of leadership in OKSA, UNCD, and others encouraging the younger people. Please answer that call and lead. So I talk about responsible leadership because our country is at crossroads. I've been back now, I'll be exactly 3 years, 22nd of August, since I abandoned everything and went back to Sierra Leone. I've been deep in the politics. You know, I've been in the boxing ring of politics, right in the middle. I have been punched, you know, when they punch you heavy. Mike Tyson used to say the first punch makes you drunk, the second punch wakes you up. Yep. So if you're lucky, the second one will wake you up and you go right back and punch. So I have been punched several times, I have gone down, I've gotten up. So I've seen the pain and the glory of politics and the sacrifice that is required. It's tough. And our country is at crossroads now where we need leadership at many, many levels. Many, many levels. It takes many people to create prosperity for a nation, but it also, when the country goes bad, it involves a lot of people who made it go bad. So responsible leadership at many levels are needed. I'll define what that means tomorrow. We're at crossroads, the economy is bad. Economies don't go bad overnight. Yes, they can be hit with external shocks. They can be hit with internal shocks, whether it's iron ore price or Ebola. But for the economy to collapse, it takes time. It takes time for an economy to collapse. I'm a PhD in economics, ag economics, I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't just happen. Guinea and Liberia also had Ebola, right? They also depend on raw materials, commodities, iron ore, bauxite, but they didn't collapse. The economies did not collapse. Why did the Sierra Leonean economy collapse? That's what we ask ourselves. This is not partisan politics. Are you all Sierra Leoneans in here? Yes. Thank you very much. Let's put the party colors aside. When the economy goes bad, you suffer, right? Because you have to send money every week for everything. So we have to have a genuine discussion about why our economy has collapsed. It's tough. Yeah, exchange rates, 8,000 3 weeks ago. 10 days ago before I left, 8,400. Today I called, one of the businessmen told me, if I get luck, I go buy 8,800. And when I look at the projections that I see coming, it's going to be tough for the very poor. And to rebuild that economy, we need everybody. That's why I say it's going to be responsible leadership at many levels. We've had a change of government. After conflict, sometimes in the UN we say it takes 3 transfers of power before you know a country is settled. We've just done the second, right? From Tijan Kaba to Anes by Koroma to His Excellency Madadio now. Well, we did that reasonably peacefully. Some of us tried for that position, it didn't work for many, many reasons. But that's water under the bridge. We always look ahead now. We now have a new president, His Excellency Kandeh Yumkella. We have to work with him for the sake of Sierra Leone to build that nation again. Yes, the last regime did what they can, but they also did some bad things, right? Not everything worked. We have to be frank to admit when things don't work. You were in America, you remember when the shuttle blew up, right? 1986, shuttle blew up. The Americans grounded all the shuttles, right? 2-3 years. But when they came back big. Big. They built a space station now, right? So you Americans know how to do it. When things go wrong, you do reverse engineering. You want to know to the last detail what went wrong. Why did our economy collapse? How do we rebuild it? That it's really in bad shape, I'm telling you. This is no fake business. This is no... You see the indicators. That's what I like about economics. You can fake for a while, but they'll see your inflation numbers. They'll see your GDP growth rate. They'll see what happens to your foreign exchange. So if things are good, those variables you can manage. But if they're bad, you may not be able to manage them, and the poor people pay the price. The very poor. Yansane and others were asking me this evening about 062. This is the hunger month. Times are hard in Kicho, but it's the same in Kambia. Kambia needs your help. I'm very happy you're investing in education. As you know, myself and the other members of parliament, we invited the Minister of Education to come to Kambia. We were the first to do it. Forget about politics now. If the government says free education, don't you want free education in Kambia? Yeah. Don't you want better schools in Kambia? Yeah. So yes, we support His Excellency Kandeh Yumkella to bring free education to Kambia, to build more schools. Our statistics are terrible. Yeah? Right after we brought the Minister of Education to Kambia, fortunately, we were lucky. Some of us had also visited the UN. The UNFPA also came to Kambia the following week. So it was as if Kambia was on the rise, and that's what we want. But that day we were shocked as well. The Minister of Education came, Deputy Minister of Planning. So UNFPA did us an honor. They launched the World Population Day in Kambia. Never happened before. So the whole UN, IMF team were there. But then they said, Kambia has the unenviable position of #1 in terms of having more children. Yes. Yes, we're #1, highest birth rate according to UNFPA. It is good, but it's a challenge, right? So in that small farmland, you have to divide 10 times now. Many more children in the household. Everything, more mouths to feed. More schools to be built. But there's another problem. We also have one of the bad statistics about early childhood marriage for the girls. So they're taking our kids out of school, putting them in marriages. Yeah, 062, my constituency, is one of the culprits. So many of us have to be preaching now about family planning and the importance of putting the girl child in school. Kambia needs a lot of help, so the little you're doing here, Baraka and others, keep it up. We need to do this 10, 20 times more. We have very bad roads. How many of you have been to Kolenten recently? Yes. How is that road? Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, but we have to open it up because we're a big agricultural location. There are things I am discovering of Kambia now that some of you will also discover. You'll be shocked at the potential. Recently, we tried to put one toilet, a building with 8 toilets in Bamoy Luma. Bamoy Luma is one of the biggest clusters of SMEs in that country. Big. You know, we pass in front of, on the paved road. We don't realize how much it's deep inside. I've seen markets like those in Nigeria. Yeah, when you talk about Aba or Onitsha, some of you have seen it in literature. Kambia has the only one of its type in that country. Apart from big markets and so on, but Bamoy Luma is big. I was told by those people that in fact Bamoy Luma for the last election, I think had about 12 polling stations just on one side. Yeah, just think about it, almost 9,000 or more voters. Yeah, and by the time they checked, there are 20, 30,000 traders in that location. Kambia generates a lot of revenue. These are the things we want to talk about. If we're generating so much revenues at the customs and at Bamoy Luma, how come some of it is not deployed locally? You see, you have to have frank discussions about these things. But that we contribute whenever you want to discuss. Somebody don't go change other kind of way. As Kambians, we want to know, right?
Yes.
To know. We don't get diamond, not so. But we generate revenues. We are one of the biggest trading points. Those people will tell you that trucks will come, our goods go all the way to Guinea-Bissau. Yes, 7, 8 different nations trading in palm oil. It's wonderful. We're an international market. But we want the locals to benefit too, right? It can be organized better. It can be made to grow. Yeah? So these are the discussions we're supposed to have. A lot of minerals also in that area. How do we develop them? But education matters. So, of course, other things are happening in our nation, and people want me to talk about everything now in Sierra Leone, and for 5 weeks, I've refused to go to the media. So you can imagine the interpretation. You know they talk again. Where is Dr. Yumkella? I know they talk. When you tell Dr. Yumkella talking, they didn't have trouble. One side they glad it, the other side they blast you. The following week you talk all that, they'll be blast you, they begin clap for you, not so. The other side vex. Because we've chosen to be independent, to be neutral, to be a voice for the voiceless. It is very easy in Sierra Leone to lean one side. Oh yes. You go live a quick one, you're not a hero. You lean one side. But when you say, no, I'm going to stand in the middle for a while. Independent. Because why? There is a time that you need to be non-partisan. There is a time you put Salon first. Put the country first and the people first. That's the choice we have made. If you violate the Constitution, we speak. You violate the rule of law, we speak. If you don't do something in the interest of the people, we speak. But when you do something good, yes, we turn your too. And so when I start praising free education, agriculture, fishing, they say, so take the pardon go leave because me in opposition, I don't talk anything good again. Free education is not good for Kambia. It's good for Kambia, not so. Hey, if I talk and I leave it, if I go look the kind of school and where we get, there you go, no safe, then safe free education. We want like Kambia. And we'll go do everything. All of us MPs and the paramount chiefs, we've gotten together. Free education, that is a must. Education is the big liberator for people. So we'll support the government every way. We're at almost we used to be #1 for rice production, right? Yes. We don't want that status there again. Of course we want that. In the 50s we export rice. Even now, our people send it to Guinea. Yes. We export rice from Bamoy, from Rokupur, yeah, from Makumanse, Rosino. Did they go? Yeah. Not only that, Pamaise, salt. So we want agriculture as well, right? And fisheries. I just was telling you, Alexandria and others as well, our boats from Kasiri, Kichom, all of those places, all are in Guinea. They go out for 4 or 5 days, they fish, and they sell in Guinea. Some of it is exported. A lot of them are from Kambia. Yeah, they get Kasai and Guinea, they call Kambia Song. The boats they need, and good boat builders, and they build boats designed not they. But we want that to grow, right? So if the government says they're going to invest in fisheries, in agriculture and education, we have to support it. And so my message to you, responsible leadership means there is a time you left particular first. Yeah. Some people, they're so committed to their party that even when the party they do wrong, then people then they die from poverty, they still say, not for talk about that. But me, I don't mix pandato. Me today, me na Kambia. Yeah, me na Kambia. Anything we need to do for Kambia. We go where election can, we go where close back, not so. In 4 years. You wear green, you wear red, you wear orange, multicolor. We go dance back. But for the next 4 years, let's build Kambia. Or put party business aside. Yeah? And let's be honest with ourselves. How do we grow our economy? How do we prevent corruption? You know, when you talk about corruption in that country, people vex. Some man in the gladi, if the people that were corrupt, then are in tribe, then not to corruption. Now shape, then they shape. Once that they try to come out the region. Corruption and corruption. If you for build school, you chop the money in a corruption, people they suffer. If you for build hospital, you chop and corruption is bad because you don't deprive people, not so. Yes. This is the time we should have honest discussions. I really mean it. You are all enlightened people. First world, #1 country in the world. Do ya the big one? Wake up and Kambia. Honest analysis. but education, but corruption, but anything. We camp and Kambia, on a lot put party business aside for the next 3-4 years. Let us do what you're doing here. Raise money for schools and hospitals. Raise money for microfinance for those women. When you go on a Bamoy market, we sister then they did. Yeah, then they said. And good one. Not so lazy people, eh? Then they walk. Because some man can sit down free to just come up with generalization. The people that are able to walk. Go look the kind of farm who they do. Go dig that swamp there for 5 minutes. Then you tell me, say you will able to do anything for the rest of the day. Yeah, in Samo, that's what we do. So I'm just saying, really responsible leadership, as you are showing here. Demand the same from your country. Some of you go back, you work hard here, but as you reach here, you don't turn tribalist and politician past anybody now. All that wonderful, good, first world knowledge, you pack it aside. I've seen some people do that. And I wonder, say, wait a minute. Are they not from the first world? If it is good for them, why is it not good for Sierra Leone? Why do you want to say something else? Corruption bad. Corruption is bad. Whichever way you look at it. I've been in development now over 30 years. Over 30 years. One of the biggest constraints to development is corruption. And it's not just money. It is corruption of institutions too. Corruption of institutions. If your judiciary cannot work, you're in trouble. Here you do a contract, you mess the contract up here in court, right? You sue. In America, you sue, right? If you never sue, na salary left by you. You don't trust money in a bank na for go do business, then chop na ya. Who say you go? They don't enforce contracts. That's corruption. We see people going with impunity. Some man, they bluff you. Me and you know, say, I sweat to the sweat for every dollar. Yeah, they see man, they build 4 hosts. My brother, I've seen it, eh? 4 hosts. You look the man, $300 for month. But they build 2, 3 days, he won't bluff you. Because I can't bluff you per book. Can't bluff you per business because you don't say not to business they do, not so. Can't bluff you as a professional. You don't come to America now, you don't sweat, you sweat. Right now, I get 4 cars. And they build 2 hosts right now, or 3. Not also some man can bluff. And not today no more, over the last 30 years. Let's face it. That's corruption. And they celebrate them as heroes. Yes, me and you, where they trust na bank go bill with us. Pay mortgage. We not serious. But that right, don't make up. Now 3 hosts in the bill so. It don't make up. Society itself celebrates the super corrupt. And the more corrupt you are, the more they praise you. Say, am I better? God bless you. Yeah, doctor don't call and so academic talking. Yeah, diaspora party. So I'm not talking politics to you, I'm talking to you about reality. So when we talk about corruption now, the president says corruption is a clear and present danger to the country. It's a national security threat. Now, so His Excellency BOC, I may agree with that. But remember, in 2007, Ernest Koroma declared also war on corruption, not also. Yes. In fact, the APC sent to Parliament an amendment to the Anti-Corruption Act. They made the Anti-Corruption Commissioner more powerful than he was within 1 year, giving the anti-corruption man prosecutorial powers. Yes, making sure his position is well protected, raising the salary. So, Tijan Kaba started the Anti-Corruption Institution. It was strengthened by the APC, His Excellency Ernest Bai Koroma in 2008. His Excellency Mada Bio 10 years later says, corruption is a national security threat. Something happened over the last 20 years, right? We didn't succeed. And it is super bad. And here you see, I'm not blaming anybody, right? It's just our reality, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta fix it. Gotta fix it. This is why I chose to be independent right now. Some people have to forget about party and talk salon first. You talk it as you see it. Not so that you do in America. Say it as you see it. I gotta do it. But when you do that in Sierra Leone, you are enemy of the state. Enemy of the state. For 3 years I was hounded. hounded from the day I arrived, 22nd of August, 2015, hounded. Until 2 days before elections, for the presidential election, people were still lobbying that I should be denied my citizenship. So I've been hounded. I know what it's like to have injustice. But it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. What matters now is Sierra Leone. So I'm just telling you this, I'm still excited to put Salon first, still excited to fight for our country, for our district, for the nation, and to say it when I say it, without fear or favor, for the sake of your children and grandchildren. So I'm happy to be with you, OKSA. I'm very jealous indeed, CD, you're right. I didn't have the privilege, but, we used to visit Father Olivani. And yes, Lahnam was there, so they said they make big man for me, that 50 cents in the cross. Yeah, but I didn't have that privilege. But indeed, Father Bishop Beguzi told the story once because I was helping him raise money for Unimac in McKinney. He told the story of how they worked with my father. I think my father was the first chairman of the board. He fought for that school to be established there. My father always believed in education. And indeed, you gave me a plaque for him, posthumous. Thank you very much when I came in 2012. But we have to make Kolenten a center of excellence. If there's any way I can help while I'm there to do that, that is why I say to you, forget the party colors, free education. On allow we fight for, allow we get every benefit of free education for the sake of our children. Kambia is a gateway, it's a major gateway. I'm very happy to see that a former president came through Kambia recently. Yes, we're the gateway. And the good news for you is, His Excellency Madabiu worked in Kambia. Kukuna and Yeliboya, he knows the geography very well. He worked there, he's talked about it. So we have a new president who also knows Kambia and the wealth in Kambia. Let us work with everybody to grow it. We put parties and business aside for the next 4 years. That's all I plead with you. No APC, NGCS, LPP for the next 3-4 years. Let's work for Kambia. After that, when they blow whistle back, we win New Jersey. We don't have Washington Redskin, Dallas Cowboy, no problem. That's it now. We will dance the dance and fete the fete, not so. But we in Kambia, we're peaceful. Yeah, it's all about development and growth now. I thank you for inviting me. Hopefully tomorrow I'll try to do justice. But let me end by saying, the first time they invited me to the PDD, the Puja and Dance, they made money. The second time they invited me, they doubled how much they made. So let's see if Kambia will be lucky. The reason is people just showed up. And at that time, they showed up because they know that Kandeh will fire from all cylinders. And maybe tomorrow I talk more about corruption openly. Would you like that? Is it okay? Yeah, nobody knows who expanding tomorrow. I can call him to him. No, can't get trouble with this one. You don't say something that we don't talk to us for go back to Alumni. But I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you for doing this. I come to America each time you inspire me. This is my first event. So over a year since I came here. Now I have to line up for my visa, you see. So I line up for my visa and they give me visa, so I can't step on a different line this time. But nobody can also so. And they can't be now home. Sallallahu Muhammad.